Welcome to the Explainer. So listen, we're just going to throw out the standard agenda today because I want to drop you right into the absolute madness, the unprecedented electricity of June 11, 2026. You know, the world had been waiting 4 long years for this moment. But when the globe's biggest sporting event finally kicked off in Mexico City, absolutely no one, and I mean no one, could have predicted just how wild things were about to get.
3. Just 3. I want to hook you immediately with this single, shocking digit. Because in just the very first match of the 2026 tournament, we saw 3 red cards issued by referee Wilton Sampaio. Let that sink in for a second. Just one match, 90-plus minutes of football, and 3 different players were completely sent off the pitch.
When you actually look at the numbers, the contrast here is wild. In the entire 2018 World Cup, we're talking 64 full games, there were 4 red cards total. In the entire 2022 World Cup in Qatar, again, just 4 red cards for the whole tournament. And yet, on day 1 of the 2026 World Cup, in a single opening night, we hit 3. And honestly, the supreme irony here, Pierluigi Collina. He is widely regarded as the greatest referee of all time, and he's been running FIFA's refereeing operation since 2017. As an official himself, Collina averaged fewer than 0.15 red cards per game. The guy famously rarely reached for his pocket. Yet the man who barely ever showed reds is now presiding over a system that produced 3 in one single night. It's either an incredible coincidence or the consequence of something very deliberate.
Which brings us to Section 1, the biggest World Cup ever.
To truly wrap your head around why this opening match felt like a total pressure cooker, you really have to understand the massive new scale of this historically expanded tournament. We've officially moved away from the traditional format of 32 teams. For 2026, we are looking at a staggering 48 teams, all divided up into 12 groups. That means there will be 104 total games, a massive increase. Walking through the actual mechanics here, to survive this grueling new format, teams need to finish in the top 2 of their group or be one of the 8 best third-place teams to advance to the knockouts. It's bigger, it's way longer, and it's vastly more complicated.
And of course, the financial scale of this whole spectacle is just completely ballooned right alongside the team count. While group stage tickets start at a somewhat accessible $140, the peak price, what you would literally have to fork out for the absolute best seats at the final, is an astounding $33,000. It's a multi-million-dollar global festival, and the pressure on the host nations to perform right out of the gate is absolutely immense.
Let's talk about where all this went down. Section 2. The magic of Azteca. This brings us to the legendary cultural fortress hosting this opener, Mexico City's Estadio Azteca. It carries the echoes of icons like Diego Maradona, for sure, but I absolutely love this local perspective here. Jose Alvarez, a cafe owner just 2 miles from the stadium, pointed out that the Azteca actually sits over a large underground spring. He says, when there's a match, we face water shortage because the stadium has 1,000 restrooms. I mean, that perfectly captures the sheer sensory experience of this place. It's essentially a giant concrete sombrero sitting right above an ancient volcano, absorbing the energy and quite literally the resources of the entire neighborhood when 87,500 people descend upon it.
So going into this matchup, Mexico, El Tricolor were heavy, overwhelming favorites against South Africa's Bafana Bafana, and the reasons are pretty staggering. First off, they had 80,824 incredibly loyal home fans roaring this World Cup to life in an atmosphere where it was literally raining sombreros as fans flung them into the air. But perhaps their absolute biggest advantage? The Azteca sits at roughly 7,300 feet of high elevation. That is a seriously punishing altitude for any visiting team to adjust to, especially one playing its first World Cup match since all the way back in 2010.
Which sets the stage for Section 3, Mexico's dominant opening act.
Okay, so right after a totally colorful opening ceremony, we had Shakira absolutely belting out her hit, Die Jai, alongside local favorites Alejandro Fernandez and Maná. The football actually took over. Tracing Mexico's unrelentless first-half attack, you can see total dominance. Just 9 minutes in, relentless wave after wave collapsed the South African defense, and Julian Quinones fired a shot right into the bottom of the goal to make it 1-0. The stadium literally shook. Mexico just kept pushing, with Raul Jimenez nearly scoring a spectacular second right before halftime, only to be denied by this flying save from South African keeper Ronwen Williams. By halftime, the stats pretty much told the whole story. Mexico had 10 attempts on goal compared to South Africa's mere 2. Total, absolute dominance.
And then we hit Section 4, a game of red cards. All right, buckle up, because the second half is where this match just fundamentally broke open. At minute 50, South Africa's Spethalo Sithole brings down Gutierrez at the last man in defense. Boom, straight red card. They're down to 10 men. Then, minute 67, Mexico's most loved striker, Raul Jimenez, scores a powerful header. That's actually his first ever World Cup goal after 4 tournaments, making it 2-0 Mexico. But the chaos? Oh, it wasn't done. Minute 83, South Africa's Thembas Wayne swings an arm at Roberto Alvarado's face. We get a VAR check, and yep, red card. South Africa is down to 9 men. And incredibly, in the 92nd minute, Mexico's Cesar Montes makes a rash tackle just outside the box. Another red card.
Just to summarize the historical weight of what we literally just witnessed, this was the most red cards in any opening match in World Cup history. South Africa somehow ended the match with 9 men on the pitch, and Mexico ended with 10. The referee essentially lost control of the disciplinary flow entirely, which sets this really gritty, unpredictable tone for the rest of the tournament.
But, okay, right in the middle of all that chaos, I want to inject a surprising, incredibly positive fact here. 17. During the second half, Mexico brought on a substitute named Gilberto Mora. At just 17 years and 240 days old, Mora officially became the 6th youngest player to ever make a World Cup appearance. I mean, that puts him on a list right behind total absolute legends like Pelé and Samuel Eto'o. It's just a brilliant reminder of the new generation stepping onto this massive global stage.
Finally, Section 5. Looking ahead.
Zooming back out for a second to the broader perspective of the tournament, we really have to remember that this exhausting, totally historic opener, it was merely day 1. In fact, there was a whole other match that same day. Over in Guadalajara, Czechia took the lead early in the second half, but the Korea Republic completely flipped the script. They came from behind with goals in the 67th and 80th minutes to pull off a 2-1 win. This just proves that this massive, grueling group stage is already in full swing, and absolutely no lead is safe.
Which really leaves us with one massive, provocative question to think about. If day 1 alone required 3 red cards and exhausted 1,000 restrooms, how in the world are we going to survive 104 matches? We are witnessing the biggest, most complex, and seemingly most aggressive World Cup ever staged. I mean, if Mexico and South Africa gave us this much drama in just 90 minutes, the rest of this expanded tournament is going to be an absolute roller coaster. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you for the next deep dive.